All right, so um, we're diving into Ukraine today, and
Yeah.
it's complicated stuff.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
sent us these excerpts uh, from Ukraine, resilience, war realities, and European coalition.
Mm.
So it seems like you really want to get into like all these layers of Zelensky's diplomacy,
Right.
balancing between the U.S. and Europe.
Yeah, and the war, of course.
No, of course, yeah.
Still raging on while all this is happening.
Yeah, exactly. So much going on.
Absolutely. Zelensky's got his work cut out for him, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, navigating a really, really tough situation.
For sure.
So let's start with that White House visit, huh?
Okay.
The excerpts mentioned this kind of tension
Yeah.
between Zelensky and Trump,
Right. Right.
even like a stalled agreement on minerals,
Uh-huh.
and then Zelensky speaking only Ukrainian to reporters after.
Oh, yeah, that was fascinating, wasn't it?
What do you think that was all about?
Well, I think it's a powerful statement, don't you?
Oh, for sure.
Speaking Ukrainian there.
Yeah.
It's like he's asserting, Ukrainian identity
Yeah.
on a global stage like that.
Right, right.
Not letting himself be, overshadowed.
Yeah, yeah, like he's making a point,
Exactly.
almost like distancing himself from
Totally.
that discord with Trump.
Yeah, leaving it to history, he said.
Right, right.
Like he wants to move past it.
Focus on what really matters.
Yeah, exactly. But it makes you wonder, about the U.S. and Ukraine right now.
Yeah, is this a sign of like,
Is it deeper?
yeah, deeper
Or
issue,
just a,
bump in the road?
bump in the road, yeah.
And this friction, or whatever we're calling it,
Yeah.
it gets even more interesting, right?
Absolutely.
When we look at those reports of a clash
Yes.
between them.
About the nature of the war itself.
Yeah, like they don't even agree.
It's fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Zelensky wants the allies to, be clear. Russia's the aggressor. Right. He needs their support. Full stop.
Totally. Yeah.
And Trump's over there like, let's talk to Putin.
Right. Direct line.
Yeah, potentially leaving Ukraine out.
It's a tough spot for Zelensky.
For sure.
And that minerals deal, I did not come to try.
Oh, about coming back to the White House.
Yeah, to finalize it, remember.
Yeah, wow. There's definitely some frustration there.
There's definitely something
Like
there.
the whole trip
Yeah.
didn't go as planned.
Yeah, and that deal's a big opportunity
Huge economically.
for Ukraine. Just gone, know?
Yeah.
So no wonder he's turning to Europe.
Right.
The excerpts mention those meetings.
Oh, yeah, in the UK.
Yeah, and that Anglo-French peace initiative.
That's a big one.
Yeah, he's optimistic, cautiously,
Yeah, has to be.
but also realistic. It's not going to be easy.
Not at all.
This is where the balancing act gets really
Oh, really tough.
tough, right?
Yeah.
Closer ties with Europe,
Mm.
but still got to work with the U.S., especially with all their global power
Right, right.
and this coalition of the willing.
Yeah.
It's still,
A work in progress.
it feels like it, yeah.
Lots of moving parts.
Yeah, lots of moving parts.
For sure. High stakes, for sure.
Yeah, and, reading about the human cost.
It's tough.
It is. All these attacks on civilians makes
Yeah.
you think twice about all that, peace talk stuff.
Yeah, when Trump's saying Putin wants peace
Right, but then you see what's happening.
on the ground. Totally different picture.
Yeah, that story, Tatiana Kulik.
Oh, and her husband?
Yeah, Pavlo Ivanchov, home destroyed by a drone.
Just like that.
Like, what are we even talking about with peace if
Yeah.
that's still happening?
Exactly. It's a disconnect.
For sure. And the numbers, too.
It's not just stories.
Yeah, over 3,000 drone strikes.
3,000.
And at least 35 missiles since that Trump-Putin call.
Wow.
75 dead, almost 300 injured. Civilians.
Awful. And those are just the ones,
The confirmed ones, yeah.
the real number's probably way higher.
Makes you think about the people behind those numbers.
Exactly. Like Olga Miraz, the baker.
Oh, and Kramatorsk, right.
Yeah, and Vladimir Pimenov, the dancer.
Killed in separate attacks. It's just
Senseless.
so sad. And it's like, even while Trump and Zelensky are meeting,
The attacks kept coming.
yeah, like diplomacy's moving too slow.
Not slow enough to save them, though.
Right. It's like there's this bigger pattern,
Putin's playing the long game.
Yeah, even with Trump's optimism.
His demands haven't budged an inch.
Still wants those regions.
Eastern, Southern, Crimea, of course.
And his actions.
Speak for themselves.
Yeah, and then Trump saying he doubts Ukraine can get that territory back.
Maybe Russian someday, right?
Yeah, talk about fueling anxiety.
Oh, yeah. Ukrainians fighting for their land. And then they hear that.
And it's like giving Putin legitimacy,
Totally. Playing right into his hands.
that those regions belong to Russia.
It's dangerous talk.
It is, and all those people
Brilliant.
under occupation facing, what was it? UN called it grave human rights violations.
It's a real humanitarian crisis.
It is, and the excerpts are clear. Nowhere safe.
No safe haven.
From those eastern cities, Kostiantynivka, Pokrovsk,
To the big ones, Kryvyi Rih, Kherson.
even Kiev, missile attack, 1 dead, a child injured.
The day Trump talked to Putin, can you imagine?
It's just constant fear.
How do you rebuild
Yeah, like how do you even start to think about peace?
when that's your reality?
Because this is what Zelensky's up against.
And all of Ukraine.
They're resilient,
Incredibly so.
but they need help, real help.
Not just words.
Right, which brings us back to that coalition.
The willing, can they deliver?
Yeah, can they turn talk into action
Bridge that gap.
between politics and what's actually happening?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. The excerpts make it seem
Like a test? For Europe, for everyone,
to actually do something.
for international law, for sovereignty.
Starmer's trying.
He's leading the charge.
He's trying to be realistic, though.
Right. Not every country is going to be gung-ho.
Especially about Russia.
They're a big player.
They are. And the U.S. is unpredictable.
You never know with them.
Starmer wants unity, though.
A united front, tough to get everyone on board.
It is. So he's got this strategy.
Multiple prongs, right?
Yeah, military aid for Ukraine, Kiev at the negotiating table,
Can't leave them out.
and building up their defenses for the future.
Long-term thinking.
But is it enough? Enough, yeah. And then you have other European countries.
Yeah, mixed signals all over.
Denmark, Netherlands, maybe.
They're thinking about it.
But they've got their own stuff going on.
Internal debates.
Yeah.
How much do we get involved?
And then there's Germany,
Sure.
economic powerhouse,
I'm
but
hesitant, right?
to really step up, especially now with their leadership change.
Transition time, always tricky.
Their stance is so interesting.
They give a lot to Ukraine's defense.
But this coalition,
They're not jumping in.
it says a lot, doesn't it?
About European politics, lots go on behind the scenes.
Economics, energy, and Germany, they've always been.
Wary of military stuff.
And then there's Macron.
The 1-month ceasefire.
He wants that negotiated settlement.
Peacekeepers only after.
Wait, even that.
Some are against it.
Yeah, Meloni in Italy, Orban in Hungary.
Those two, always skeptical.
About the EU getting involved.
Immediate ceasefire, that's what they want.
Threatening to block EU resolutions.
Not invited to the London summit.
See, Europe's not one big happy family.
Nope. Lots of history there.
Different politics, different economies. It affects how they react to this whole thing.
Ukraine's caught in the middle.
And then there's the big question mark.
Trump.
What's he going to do?
Suspending aid.
That would be huge.
Game changer.
Weaken Ukraine so much.
Makes them vulnerable.
And it says to Putin,
The West isn't serious.
so much pressure on Starmer.
He's got a lot on his plate.
Europe, U.S., and making sure Ukraine has a say.
Their voice matters.
It's a delicate dance.
And even his own ambassador,
Causing trouble.
saying Zelensky should listen to Trump.
More tension within the UK's own approach.
It's complicated.
So, we've covered a lot. What's the big takeaway here?
This coalition, if it actually happens,
Yeah, if it gets off the ground.
what can they do?
Not just talk.
Real action. That's what matters.
To actually put pressure on Russia.
And make peace last.
Can they change the game for Putin?
That's what we need to watch for.
Actions, not words.
It's all about what they do or don't do.
It's Ukraine's future we're talking about.
Exactly.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive
It's been a pleasure.
into Ukraine. No easy answers, that's for sure.
Nope.
The road to peace is, well,
Rocky.
but we've got to understand all this.
The layers, the players.
The human
It's
cost.
the only way forward.
So we can talk about this in a way that
It's
actually
the difference.
helps find a real solution
A lasting one.
for Ukraine.